Welcome back to the Chelsweets kitchen. Today we're making this really fun sprinkle geode cake. It's made with 4 colorful cake layers that were colored to match the sprinkle blend that I'm going to be using later. So it has a blue, a purple, a pink, and an orange layer. I'm stacking and frosting these with my classic American buttercream, and I've left this top layer with a dome on it just to start to create the natural shape of a rock. I'm trimming away some bits from the top edge to try to make it a little bit more rounded, and a little bit from the sides too, just to make it not such a perfect and uniform shape. Once I felt happy with what I had carved, I cleaned away the scraps and then began to cut out the center where we're going to be putting the sprinkle blend. So for this, you want to kind of cut out almost a diamond shape from the cake, and you want it to be sizable enough where you can really get the sprinkle blend in there and it makes a statement. So you can also eat that as a snack for later, which is exactly what I did. So once everything was removed, I started to frost the cake with a crumb coat. I'm using a black cocoa frosting here, which makes a perfect gray color to look just like a rock. First I filled in that cutout section, and then I covered the entire cake. Once all the cake layers were frosted, I popped this cake into the freezer for about 5 minutes just to allow that crumb coat to firm up. Next, I began to add on my second, thicker layer of frosting. But unlike normal where I kind of just cover the cake in a nice even layer, I tried to add some texture as I did this. I used my offset spatula to make lines in different directions to try to create some sharper angles. Next, I heated up my small offset spatula with a kitchen torch and went over those areas to both deepen the color of the frosting and to give the cake a little bit more of an earthy look. To take this cake to the next level, I decided to use an airbrush and spray some metallic paint around this cake. While I really loved how it looked before, I wanted there to be a little bit of shimmer and it to really glisten when I spun it and that sprinkle blend was in place. I think I might have also been looking for an excuse to use my airbrush. So once I had covered the cake pretty evenly, it was time to add the sprinkles. I ended up adding some orange and yellow sprinkles to a really pretty Sweetapolita sprinkle blend, which she makes all of these, but I decided to mix them together just to add a little bit more color to that blend and to really make it pop once it was on the cake. To make sure my sprinkles actually stuck inside of that crevice, I added one more layer of my black cocoa frosting, and then I struggled to get the sprinkles in there. It is a challenge, but if you really believe in yourself, I promise you can get them in there. I also decided to add a border around those sprinkles, so I used some Edible Art gold paint here and just a sterile paintbrush to do that. This is much easier to do if your cake is chilled, so if you find your frosting is too soft, you can always pop it into the freezer for a couple minutes to make it easier. And just like that, our sprinkled geode cake is complete. I really love the texture on the back of the rock, how it's not perfectly rounded, and I think it looks pretty rock-like if you ask me. So now it's time for the best part, to cut in and see those super colorful cake layers. So to make my cake layers really bright, I used some gel food coloring, and it really worked wonders. I love the way they turned out, and I think they look so fun, especially once you spin the cake around and you get to see them with the sprinkle blend. Don't forget, you guys, if you want to recreate this cake, the recipe is up on chelsweets.com, and I'll include it in the video description below. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and hopefully I'll see you guys again soon.